On this episode, hear what we mean by the phrase, weed-free the first three. What's going on with the markets this week? Turk keeps us informed. Don't forget about the January 15th discount deadline. Did you know we're on TikTok? Check us out at Mershman Seeds.
Hi, this is Joe Mershman. Welcome to Cup of Joe, episode number 23, season 3. Today we have our regulars, Tommy, Turk, and Ben, and as always, we like to start with Ben. Go ahead, Ben.
Iowa State has a really nice article that came out this week, herbicide programs for Waterhemp control in soybeans. The link will be on the opening page there of Cup of Joe for anybody that wants to kind of look at it, but I just wanted to kind of talk about some of the different herbicide programs that Iowa State has seen others working, and I also agree with a lot of what they're saying and what they've been seeing. They're talking about using multiple effective modes when you're using your pre's. They're really liking when they have a little dotted bar across the top here that talks about 90% control of your water hemp species with your pre's, and there's a few products that definitely surpass that. The standard, just like a Valor or like a sulfentrazone or Authority by itself, isn't keeping up. I mean, it's right at that 80 or sub 80 or 90% efficacy. But when you start using products that have multiple mixes, like they have a like Fierce MTZ in here, and so that would be your Valor, your Zidua, your Metribuzin. So you got three-way stack there, and that's really, really effective when we start seeing those three, that combination of a group 5, a group 15, and a group 14. When you see the PPO, the atrazine class, and the long chain fatty acids, it's really, really effective. And that's what a lot of guys are really pushing. It's a little bit more expensive, but you know that you're going to get good control for that 4-5 week time frame before you want to start rolling in your first post application. So
the best way to fight water hemp is to never see it, in other words.
That is correct. One of the other things they were talking about, they had half of a paragraph here talking about how Liberty by itself, Enlist 1 by itself, dicamba by itself, still for the majority of the time, I mean, you're not getting perfect weed control. That weed control falls in the 90 to 95% of effectiveness rate. But when you mix Liberty or Interline with Enlist 1, you get lights out control, 100%. So what we've been talking about the past year and a half, 2 years now, is absolutely true, and Iowa State's backing that up. So that's a really, really good article. I suggest everybody dive into that article and look at.
I've got a comment. I know we've seen several companies, and one in particular, they said weed-free first three. In other words, that yield potential on soybeans isn't thought about early, but there is something to that. You keep the weeds out of those early soybeans with these pre's, and it does set you up for high yield. And I think it's just because the soybeans sense the competition. I'm not sure exactly, but weed-free the first three is the key to high yields. Correct. And these residuals that you're talking about are a critical part, and then a good solid, again, hit it with multiple modes of action on the post if you can too.
Right. So that's a great article. I did get a chance to watch a little bit of the Crops TV that we've promoted a little bit. This week we had Darren Mueller talking about soybean and corn diseases, and they really, for the first time that I've seen, they have this crop production network that all of the land-grant universities come together with, and they're basically pooling all of their resources when it comes to guys that are concerned about a certain disease. They may not be able to identify something. They have publications on there. They have webinars on there. They have an encyclopedia that gives short little brief notes about each one of the disease with lots and lots of pictures. Sometimes pictures can be hard with the older publications, especially when you're thumbing through a magazine, you can't zoom in. All of that stuff is online now on this Crop Production Network. Google it. Doesn't cost anything. It's really awesome to go look at. They also have CEUs for CCAs on there, so you can sign up, take quick quizzes, and get your CEUs if you need them. And they have an estimated disease loss calculator. So like when we talk about 20%, 30%, 40% defoliation or disease index, you can train yourself on how to look at that. When we talk about in Darren Mueller talked about sudden death incidents, and they have this rating scale. knowing how that rating scale fits to what yield loss can be is all dependent on that estimated disease loss. You have to be able to look at the percent foliage that is gone, and that tells you, what you can expect when you have a field of soybeans that has pretty bad sudden death in it. So I thought all that was really interesting on the Crop Protection Network side of things. And the last thing that I wanted to cover was Saltro has a new website. It's a really cool website. I'd like to promote it just a little bit on our social media last week. I think we talked about, or they had a nice little post on the Saltro website, and that links back to, you can get that link from our website or from any one of the social media things. One of the things I think that's cool is they have this big interactive map that it goes, there are multiple locations all over the soybean growing area where you can go through and click on individual locations. There's one in Mediapolis, which is local here, that shows Saltro versus Olivo, and then the one in Mediapolis had a pod count. So if you had something where, whether it's yield differences between Saltro and Olivo, or something really proud, if you're a farmer and you're really proud of the Saltro, or if you're a retailer and you're really proud of a comparison that you've seen, you can upload it to there and you can enter yourself into a drawing to win a Holy Stone 4K EIS drone. So
Wow.
Really cool website. I encourage you to take a look at it because we're pretty proud of that we're using Saltro and how well it's worked this year, and obviously Syngenta is too, so there's a shameless plug for Saltro.
There you go. Well, thank you, Ben.
Yep.
Well, Turk, I know it's a pretty exciting time when you're looking at the markets and looking at if you got some grain in the bin. It's pretty exciting. If you sold it all, well, maybe not so exciting, but you get ready for next year, right?
That's right. These are historical times when it comes to the markets and what we're seeing. Again, you don't get these opportunities very often, and for sure be talking to your grain marketing folks and figure out a strategy on how to take advantage, especially if you have crops in the bin right now. Do not miss this opportunity. Ben, we were talking before the show started that you guys were selling a little bit of corn out of the bin and didn't sell it all, but we're having that discussion, and it's, again, these things don't come along very often. Don't miss it. I think the highest price I ever sold corn for personally was $5.19, and that was for the overrun on what I had sold, and it was like for 123 bushels. So
that pretty much sets you up, didn't it?
But I can say that I sold $5.19 corn. But it doesn't come along very often because I had the rest of it sold at $4.50 or something like that. So, but I had a little bit extra in the bin, more than I thought, but not much. But I still got $5 corn. But so if you have the opportunity to get $5 corn right now, don't let it get by you. I just don't let it get by you because everybody thinks it's going higher, and it could, but $5 corn is pretty darn profitable corn. And and then again on soybeans, same deal. I mean, we've got, I think, 1378 was what I seen for nearby soybeans on the board, and there are some places that are actually paying a premium over the board. So I know you said that a lot of our growers were taking advantage of the opportunity here.
We've had a lot of sales this January contract to be a record amount that we're going to pay out to our growers, taking advantage of these high prices. So that's all good.
Yeah. So again, don't let these things get slip by. We have a supply and demand report coming out next Tuesday, and a lot of people expect it to be a bullish report. There's a lot of discussion, a lot of talk about it, and we're really looking at the world supply here and how it affects. Going to get our final on the last year's crop and what the yields were, and they've been pushing that up a little bit. But again, demand's been strong as well. So. Just because it is, even if it is a bullish report, many times this report especially, the trade is buy the rumor, sell the facts. So even if it is a bullish report, we could see the markets go either way pretty easy. And of course, South America is still dry as well, which has helped pushing that market. If it starts raining down there, these markets could take a dive just like that. So lots of things to consider.
Super long positions in the funds.
Yes.
And then just the past week, I mean, basically the fund managers were buying all commodities, even copper, just buying everything. Oil's up. So, even though we're in a pandemic, they're thinking that all this stuff, the demand's going to come around. With these vaccines, we're going to see things positive because we've been hunkered down for so long. So I know if you try to buy anything, it looks like inflation's coming in. Things are going to be higher, so farmers need to be in tune to that too, and try to make sure they got their inputs locked down, because I don't see any way that we're not going to see higher everything for farmers in the next crop year after this crop year.
Oil's going up. It's going to raise the price of chemicals and fertilizer, and so it's going to be definitely not something that you forget about. Just keep an eye on everything and try and stay profitable.
And the weak dollar is making stuff more expensive for us because we rely on so many things from over China and India, for example, is where a lot of our chemical active ingredients are formulated, but of course it makes our grain cheaper. So the supply side, because of the weather in South America, the lower dollar. And demand is strong. So when you have those three factors come into play, really we can't really say where this market's going to go.
And this dry weather, this drought that they're talking about in the U.S. From La Nina, possible La Nina, there's a lot of things to consider, and there's a lot of weather premium in the markets right now, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So just keep an eye on it. Like I say. Probably should have daily conversations with your grain advisors. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a good thing to have good prices, and unfortunately that affects rent and it affects so many things. The farmer never ever stays on top very long. I mean, it's a short little window in it.
You have to take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves for profitability, and right now we are at very profitable levels.
Good. Well, that's positive. It's been a long time. Tommy?
Well, speaking of taking advantage of opportunities for profitability, we got a big discount period coming up on January 15th next week here. So lots of supply getting moved out through our facilities here in Olmsted and West Point. A lot of shipping taking place. But the biggest opportunity to grab that biggest discount is next Friday. So we cannot let that go. If you guys haven't purchased your seed yet or get a hold of your local dealer as soon as possible and get that taken care of.
Yeah, our maximum cash discounts expire on January 15th. Yep. So, it's been that maximum since August 1st, and so it ends January 15th. You have a big window for farmers to make a decision if they what year they want to pay for their seed, but don't miss the January 15th cutoff.
Right. And a lot of guys that have already purchased, obviously, they've already see their seed in the warehouses or in their own warehouses because we produce the order. So another thing, Joe, as I saw driving in the other day, was Jim Frazie's birthday on Friday.
That's correct. Jim,
how many years has he worked here?
Well, he started in 1972 as a high school sophomore. Mm-hmm. Back then, there were so many kids in the high school, they had what's called a split shift in Fort Madison High School. The freshmen, juniors and seniors went in the morning. They got up early and went till noon. And then in the afternoon, then the freshman and sophomore went. And that allowed Jim to come to work right after lunch. And my dad always said he was our first automatic bagger. In other words, he could take the bag and slide it on the bagger and pull the lever just as fast as the bagger we got today. Because he had such a smooth motion, So he was our first automatic bagger, and he would come in at noon, and they would bag until they got things bagged out for the day. And then as time went on, he started full time then after he graduated from high school in 1974. So I believe that makes it, he's 2021 when he get to October, be 49 years.
Wow.
So he's 48 going on 49. And we need to interview him again on how many miles he's driven. He knows exactly how many miles he's driven as a truck driver, and it's millions of miles, millions. And the reason he knows is because every time he got a truck, he kept track how many miles he drove on that truck. So he's driven through a lot of trucks. I'll tell a little story on him. In 1980, we got him his first new truck. It was a Mack Superliner. And I remember him when he says, I want an 8-track tape player. I'd rather have that than air conditioning, okay? Well, we gave him both because we thought air conditioning was pretty important too. Now, I assume today if we got him a new truck, it'd be air conditioning over the 8-track tape player. But Jim's been a great employee, and it's just super smooth. I mean, not only could he put that bag on super smooth, he drives that way too. Tires last longer, gets a good fuel economy. He just does a great job for us. And I know our customers really like the way he comes in their driveway and backs out and never gets off the road. So he's a good guy.
Absolutely, we appreciate it. So happy birthday to him.
Oh, by the way, if you ever want to remember Jim's Frazy's birthday, it's same as Elvis. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. So that's all I have, Joe.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. I have 2 corny jokes today. This one here, a cornstalk. I like my bar jokes. Mm-hmm. A cornstalk walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Want to hear a good joke?" The cornstalk says, "I'm all ears." All right. This one here is a little bit more for the ladies, okay? A couple on a date at a very expensive, fancy restaurant, and the woman, they're sitting there, and the woman tells the man, "Would you say something to me that would get my heart racing?" And the man replies, "I forgot my wallet."
That'll do it.
That'll do it. Well, thank you very much. Oh, we got one last thing. We want to remind everybody also that on January 12th is the Land Expo. It can be done virtually up at Des Moines, Iowa. Steve Brewer and his group, the People's Company, and you do not want to miss that. He gathers up speakers from all over the country. It's no doubt one of the most premier meetings that you can go to learn what's going on today and what's going to happen in the future and about our industry. It's not all about land. It's about our whole economy and the whole thing. I know we're going to be glued to our computers because you can do it virtually for what, $100?
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh. It's on a Tuesday?
Tuesday, January 12th.
Tuesday, January 12th.
My birthday, Joe.
That's your birthday. Okay, well, that's good. Anyhow, make sure you tune in. Check that out. It's called the Land Expo, and it's Tuesday, January 12th, and $100, and we'll be watching it. So if you don't make it, we're going to feature highlights of it at the next Cup of Joe. Well, that's it for this week. We thank you for watching. We thank you for your business. Hope you and your family are safe. We'll see you next week.